you crave exciting sports takes and news? Fed up with the same old boring voices you hear on the radio? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you just might be a T-Bloomaholic. Lucky for you, it's time for another episode of the T-Bloom Talk Show, the #1 sports podcast in the world. Settle in, my T-Bloomanites, because another episode starts right now. Live from T-Bloom headquarters, here's your host, T-Bloom.
Ron, you ready? Melissa, good things today. All right, you ready to roll? Nation! Welcome back to the T-Bloom Talk Show. I'm your host, as always, Mr. T-Bloom. We are live here from the T-Bloom corporate offices located in Prominence, Missouri, a long ways from home, a long ways from Tacoma, Washington, at the main headquarters. But boy, am I happy to be here. The South, well, this is the Midwest, right? But it is practically the South. Everywhere I turn, I can hear a really thick accent, and I love it. You know, being from Washington my whole life, you don't hear very many of those accents. So it's cool. The Southern charm is glowing right now, and yeah, man, if you guys have any chance to go to Missouri sometime, you should do it. Lake of the Ozarks, I highly recommend. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get into some T-Bloom corporate updates. Right now, we are sitting at 97 subscribers on YouTube. We want to get those numbers to triple digits as soon as possible, so don't be afraid to tell a friend, to give a subscription, give a like, give a comment on the video. I know you guys are liking it. I can tell just by the reactions. So yeah, let's get those numbers up. Let's push these to triple digits by the end of the month. I don't think that's too much to ask for. That's just 3 new subscribers. So if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscription button. And yeah, keep it rolling. All you T-Bloomanites out there, I appreciate every last one of you. But with that being said, let's get into some UFC Fight Night. Marvin Vettori versus Jared Cannonier. Not a big, not a pay-per-view by any means, but there's a lot of fights on here that I think are going to be very entertaining if you like MMA. And even if you don't know much about UFC or MMA at all, you're going to see some exciting action. So with that being said, let's get right into it. Starting off right now for the... They say... See, this is what I don't get. Let me just ramble on for a second. When you type in UFC on Google and you look at the main card of what it displays, it says there's 6 fights. But when you go on to the UFC.com page, it only says there's 5 fights for the main event. So we're just going to go ahead and do the 5 fights in the main card. There might be 6 tomorrow. If there is, that's a blessing. I'm going to focus in and key in on 5 different fights. Starting off with Nicholas Iron Mota versus Manuel El Loco Torres. This one's going to be an exciting fight, and I'll tell you why in a second. Let's go through the tail of the tape. Nicholas Mota, he is 13-4, 5'9", 70.5-inch reach, and he is 30 years old. On the other hand, Manuel El Loco Torres, 13-2, 5'10", 73-inch reach, so he's got a 2.5-inch reach advantage. May come into play here. He's 28 years old, and he fights out of Delincuentes MMA. That's the best way I can pronounce that. I think I did a pretty good job. Nicholas Mota, he's a Brazilian. He's fighting out of Las Vegas, out of Extreme Couture. We know Randy Couture's done. I mean, it's a pretty good gym. On the other hand, Manuel Torres, he's fighting out of Mexico. I believe he's from Jalisco. Judging by his skin pigment, I would say he's from the Jalisco area. Wouldn't be surprised if that's where he's born. I couldn't get an official location of where he was born, but that's where I'm guessing. Anyways, he fights out of Mexico, so a classic Brazilian versus Mexican standoff. Central America versus South America. I mean, which America's better? We're gonna find out. Nicholas Mota, a guy with a ton of power, a guy who is going to stand and bang, and he's going to try and knock someone out. That's not to say any different from Manuel Torres on the other side. This guy is an elite striker. I would say, he's an elite striker. He's long. He's very fun to watch, very aesthetically pleasing. He's got really good technique, really good movement inside and out of the shots that he hits. And yeah, this is going to be an exciting fight because both these guys are going to want to stand and bang. Manuel Torres, he does have 6 submissions on his hands. because he can do it all. He's very well-rounded, but I think what he really wants to do is go out there and trade strikes. Now, he may be kind of hesitating to do that with a guy like Nicholas Mota, because Mota can knock you out. Straight up. He can knock you out. He can put a fist to your jaw and end the fight within a matter of seconds. So you cannot play around with this guy. Nicholas Mota, he doesn't have any submissions. He's got 9 KOs for wins. He's got 4 decision wins, so he's coming to knock you out. But Manuel Torres, he's on a, what is he on? He's on a 4-fight win streak. And all of those wins have came in the first round. That's right. 4 fights. 4 of his last wins all have been first-round finishes. So he's coming into his, I believe this is his 2nd fight in the UFC. Should have wrote that in my notes. Doesn't matter. Pretty much what I'm saying is someone's getting laid the out. Okay? Sue me. Someone's getting dropped. I'm telling you right now, a lock is for this fight to end in TKO, no matter who's going to do it. I don't think this fight goes the distance by any means, and I'm a real big distance guy. I think every fight's going to go the distance. So for me to say that adds value to them. This is not going the distance, folks. Someone's getting knocked the F out. My prediction is Manuel Torres is going to win KO by the 2nd round. Like I said, he's very long, very shifty. He's going to use his reach. And when you look at the film, he passes the eye test for me. And he has more ways to win than one, obviously, because he has 6 submissions. He is also the favorite, so if you want to take him on the money line for some guaranteed money, I'd do that too, but you won't be getting much in return. So the safe bet here is to just take the fight to end in KO. That way you know no matter who wins, this is going to end in knockout. So that would be my prediction for that fight. So we're taking Torres KO in the 2nd round, and we're taking the fight to be ended by KO, TKO, whatever you want to call it. And that's just that, okay? Next fight, we got Pat Sabatini versus Lucas. What's going on here? Sorry. Pat Sabatini versus Lucas Almeida. Pat Sabatini, 17-4. Lucas, the talent Almeida, 14-1. Let's go through the tail of the tape. Pat Sabatini, 5'8", 70-inch reach, 32 years old. Lucas Almeida, 5'11", 71-inch reach, 32 years old as well. So, pretty similar stature. Lucas Almeida is a lot taller than him. I mean, 3 inches taller than him. But they have the same reach, so not a huge advantage in that column right there. And they're both the same age. Both of these guys are on their way to trying to get into that, the featherweight's such a real tight division. It's you got a lot of good athletes. They're looking to make that break into the top 7 power rankings of the featherweight division. And I think they could possibly do it right here if they put on a good performance. Now, Pat Sabatini, he fights out of NPR Endurance. He was born in Pennsylvania, and he still fights out of Pennsylvania. You know how I feel about that. A hometown guy doesn't abandon his roots once he gets big. Sticks to what got him there. I have a ton of respect for that right off the bat for Mr. Sabatini. On the other side, Lucas Almeida fights out of Team Kiyoshi, Sao Paulo, Brazil. Just Brazilian to the core. He's got a lot of ways he can beat you. So it's going to be an interesting fight. A little background on Pat Sabatini. He grew up in Pennsylvania, like I said. He's a Division I wrestler. He's been doing combat sambo his whole life, BJJ, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. This guy knows how to control the body. Division I wrestling in America, it puts you on a whole nother level of grappling. And to add in a little bit of combat sambo with that, this guy's elite on the ground game. Now, where he falls short is the stand-up. Not saying he's a bad, stand-up hands fighter, but he's definitely not as good as Lucas Almeida. Lucas Almeida can put you out. He can put you out. That's all I'm saying. Not thinking Pat Sabatini is going to be able to put out Lucas Almeida, but he might. You never know. He does have a lot of power. But I think Pat Sabatini is going to be looking to take this one to the ground and beat Lucas Almeida there. But here's the problem. Lucas Almeida is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt as well. Right? So it kind of gets iffy. When you have 2 black belts, usually they just kind of cancel each other out and they lead back up to the feet. So this is a tough one. Pat Sabatini, Division I wrestler. He can get Almeida to the ground. But can he keep him there, and can he maintain positions in order for this fight to go his way? Can he control him on the ground? These are questions I bring to you. I personally think he is. I'm going to go with Pat Sabatini here via unanimous decision. I don't think this one has much potential of it being stopped early. I think this one goes the full 3, if not definitely over the 2.5 rounds. Not sure of those odds because they haven't came out just yet, but I would be looking heavily on those lines. You can have a chance to win some big money on that if you stick to what TBloom is telling you right now. I'm going to go Sabatini, unanimous decision. The lock is over 2.5 rounds. Let's just talk about Lucas Almeida a little bit, just in case you guys were wondering. This is his second fight in the UFC. Before this, he's had 3 fights canceled already. So 3 people have already pulled out of fights that he was supposed to fight previously. So he's itching to get back in there, and he's ready. He's had so many training camps that have come short because of injuries and stupid things like that. He's itching to get back in there. Now, that doesn't always mean you're going to end up winning. Doesn't mean you're always going to come in there with more of an edge than your opponent, but it sure does help. I mean, you tell me, I've went through 3 times. I'm training. I'm going through brutal training camps, cutting weight, doing the interviews, doing all that comes with this. And 3 times, I did it for nothing. That guy's going to be a little hungry. I don't think it's going to be enough. I think Pat Sabatini has the skill to be able to withstand that pressure and really take it in his hands, but this isn't a for sure lock that I think Pat Sabatini is going to win. The only lock that I'm saying is it's going the distance. Another thing, all of Lucas Almeida's wins have come by stoppages. If it goes the distance, any fight that he's won the distance in 1 fight and he's lost it. So keep that in mind. I know what you're thinking. Oh, well, if none of his fights go the distance, why would this one go the distance? Because of the stylistic of it all. The style versus style. 2 combat sports, or 2 UFC fighters that are both disciplined in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and ground game. They tend to cancel each other out, and they tend to be long, almost kind of boring fights. That's why I'm going with it. Yeah. So not much to say there. We're going Pat Sabatini by unanimous decision. Over 2.5, lock it in. TBloom told you so. Next fight. Is that the next fight? Oh, here we go. Next fight. Christian Leroy Duncan, 8-0, the undefeated UK veteran. He's from Gloucester, England. Definitely not how you say that, but that's how we're going to say it here on the TBloom Talk Show. This is a middleweight matchup. He's going against Arman Superman Petrosian. How's it going, Abby?
Hi.
Is the audio doing good over there? All the levels clear? Okay, cool. That's fine.
Right.
It's my assistant, Abby. She's my cousin, near and dear to me. She's working hard in the behind the scenes. What was that?
Good job.
Thank you. She's working hard behind the scenes, making sure all this can happen. So we want to give her a round of applause. Thank you, Abigail. Where were we? Arman Petrosian. He's 6'3", 71-inch reach, 32 years old. But on the other side, you got CLD Christian Leroy Duncan. 6'2", 79-inch reach. This gives him an 8-inch reach advantage. Guys, if you don't understand how big of an advantage this is, go ahead, go to your junk drawer. Everyone has a junk drawer in their house. Go to it, get that measuring tape out, pull out 8 inches. Just pull out 8 inches. See how much. That's how far their Christian Leroy Duncan's arm extends compared to Petrosian's arm. Huge advantage. Huge advantage, especially for a striker. 8 inches? Are you freaking nuts? John Jones's reach, I believe, is like 81. And CLD's sitting here with a 79-inch reach advantage at middleweight. That guy's got no business being that long at that weight class. This is obvious foreshadowing for who I'm going to pick, but let's continue the tale of the tape. Christian Leroy Duncan, he fights out of Range Martial Arts Academy out of the UK, Gloucester, England. And I hope that's how you say that name, because that'd be a cool city name. On the other hand, Arman Petrosian, he fights out of Academy MMA. He fights out of Armenia. He's Russian. He's that whole area and that whole that gym where all those types of fighters fight out of, the Russians and Armenians. So this guy knows what it takes to fight, pretty much. I mean, those guys are all lethal killers up there. They don't fuck around, pretty much is what I'm trying to tell you. So these guys are killers. Let's see. Where should I start with this? Well, I mean, I already told you the reach advantage. I mean, Christian Leroy Duncan, he has never had a fight. Well, he's had one fight go the distance and he won it. Every other fight, it's KO in the first round or KO in the third round. And this guy is just potential to be a big superstar here in the near future. And I'm excited to see him fight. See if he can keep that undefeated streak winning. I think he will, and I think this fight ends in KO, no doubt in my mind. I mean, you even look on the other side, Arman, he's got 5 KOs on his belt. He's had only 2 of his fights go to decision. I don't see how this doesn't go. I mean, oh, what the heck? Well, that don't make no sense. I don't see how this fight doesn't end in knockout, and I'm going Christian Leroy Duncan, a KO in the second round. You can book it now. That's a lock. I'm just saying. That's all I'm saying. The lock of the day is for Christian Leroy Duncan to get the KO, or if you want to play it even safer, you just take the fight to end in KO. Because I'm telling you right now, the TBloom take of the day is one of these guys is getting knocked out Saturday. You can take that to the bank. And that's all I got to say about that fight. Moving on. We got another Arman. This time, Arman Tsarukyan. Definitely not how you say that. That's okay, though. His nickname is Ahal Kalaktes. God, I suck at that. I speak better Spanish than I do Russian. And I'm white, so I mean I don't know what that's all about. But this is a lightweight matchup. We got Joaquim Silva. Neto BJJ is his nickname. He's 12-3. Arman is 19-3. 2 of Arman's losses came from Islam Makhachev, the current lightweight champion of the world, and 2 Gamrot. So those are 2 highly stout veterans in the UFC game at this point. So those are not losses you don't hang your head on those. You keep your chin up high after those defeats because those guys are just next level. Now, let's go through the tell of the tape. Arman, he's 5'7", 72.5-inch reach. Joaquim is 5'8". He's got a 69-inch reach, so that gives a 3.5-inch reach for Arman. Arman is 26-year-old. Joaquim is 34 years old. So youth is on Arman's side, but the age of 34 by no means is old. And in fact, that's almost, in some cases, that can be a male's prime. 35 years old. You still got that young athletic ability in you, but you also got a little bit of that old man testosterone in you pumping through your veins. Ready to pick up a boulder off of 2 children. You know what I mean? Just that God-given father strength that no scientist can pinpoint what it is, but it's there. It's there, and you know what? I think for the most part, if we're gonna go who's more dominant, a 34-year-old or a 26-year-old, I'm going to go the 34-year-old. Just based on pure strength. Just based on pure strength. Now, there's a reason why we have to come and we have to do these fights and we have to see exactly what happens, because we just can't go by what we think's going to happen. Because anything can happen in this game. So with that being said, I mean, Joaquim Silva, I mean, this guy used to skateboard. Used to run motocross. You know what skill, you know how athletic you have to be able to do a kick flip or a tray flip off the stairs, land it and keep going? That's no easy task. And that's not even mentioning the fact about how much courage you have to do to do that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? To go up on motocross and jump these 20-foot heights, you got to be a daredevil, man. Not everybody's built to do that. This guy, there's a huge spread on this. I believe the spread is minus 600 or no, it's minus 1,200 in favor of Arman. That's almost a guarantee that Arman's going to win this fight. You mean to tell me a guy who used to skateboard, be in motocross? Oh, and by the way, he's in the Brazilian Air Force. This guy ain't scared of nothing. There's not a way this guy hasn't been down. And you're going to sit there and tell me Arman Tsarukyan, regardless of his stats, you mean to tell me he's going to be a minus 1,200 favorite? Joaquim Silva, Brazilian Air Force skateboarder, motocross, turn MMA. I mean, is that going to be enough for him? Absolutely not. Arman's going to dominate this fight. I predict it to be a round 2 submission, but god damn it, can we get a better line, Vegas? Show the man some damn respect. It ain't going to matter, though. Arman's going to dominate this fight. Fight will not go the distance. You can lock that in 100%. Another TBloom take. You can take that to the bank, baby. Round 2 submission. Arman Tsarukyan will continue his domination and continue his quest for gold in the lightweight division. But don't forget about Joaquim, baby. Shout out Joaquim Silva. Next, in our final fight of the night, we got the main event matchup. Marvin Vettori versus Jared Cannonier. The Italian Dream versus the Killer Gorilla. I didn't even need to do much research on this. I don't even have the records. It doesn't matter. I know these two fighters. Let's break this down a little bit. You got Marvin Vettori, who's the young gun. He had his rise. He had his chance at gold. He lost to a very, very good Izzy Adesanya, which was a completely bad matchup for him. I don't think he was ready for that at all. I mean, who is ready for Izzy unless your name's Alex Pereira? There's not many people. Let's just put it that way. He has fought his way back. He lost to Robert Whittaker, so he's really stuck at number 3 right now. He can't really move up because he can't beat Rob. And if you can't beat Rob, then, well, I guess if your name's Dries Duplessis, then you can't get a shot at the champ. I mean, people can't just keep skipping over Rob, which brings me up, what are we doing with Robert Whittaker? I mean, any other freaking era, this guy would be he would have already had his belt. He would have been defended it multiple times. This reminds me of the Colby Covington situation over there in welterweight. Any other era, Colby Covington would be fighting in. He'd be champion. He wouldn't just be champion, he'd be one of the best champions ever. But oh wait, a little guy named Kamaru Usman was there, and he's alive, and he happens to be fighting at the exact same time as Colby Covington. So Colby Covington is none of those things. He's never been champ, and he's trying to fight his way. He's trying to verbally force his way into a belt championship right now. And then on the other hand, this brings me back to Robert Whittaker. I mean, he's already fought Izzy twice. How many times are we going to keep doing the same thing? Einstein said, the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. Now, Dana White may be a lot of things, but he's not an idiot, and he's not insane. He's not going to make that same mistake twice because we already know the outcome. We've done it twice. So it puts us in a tough spot. Now, back to Marvin Vettori. Marvin is a brawler. I mean, this guy will take a shot and throw a shot back at you, and he will make the fight ugly. Almost kind of boring to watch in a way. He's going to slam you up against that cage, grind you out, win enough battles, win enough times in order to just squeak out a unanimous decision. Newsflash, this is going to decision. Anytime I see Marvin Vettori on any fight, it's going to go to decision. Now, his last fight he had, who did he fight again? Roman Dolidze. He arguably lost that fight, but he did just enough to win it. And Roman was an excellent striker. Excellent striker. But Marvin's not going against a striker. Marvin's going against a goddamn D1 division wrestler in Jared Cannonier, who's not afraid to put your ass right on that mat and ride you out for 3 rounds until he gets that unanimous decision as well. So what I'm saying to you guys is we might be looking at a very, very boring UFC main event. Boring in the sense of how the fight goes, but not boring in the sense of which way does the UFC go? What direction do you go if Marvin Vettori wins? Because you can't go up. And Jared Cannonier, let's talk about him. He's had his chance at Izzy. Got beat, unanimous decision. Same way Marvin Vettori did. So it's just one of those things where we're almost at a stalemate. One guy's 39, one guy's 29. I think that's what's going to lead me to pick Marvin Vettori here. the youth. 39, you're just out of range. You're just out of range of that sweet pocket that I was talking about earlier, of having just enough athleticism and just enough Superman strength that you get when you become a father or you hit the age of 34 or 35. He's just out of that pocket. And Sir Charles VIII, he's not here today. He's not here this week. He'll be back on. Don't worry. He's good. He always brings up the fact once you hit 38, the odds significantly decrease of you winning. I mean, it's really not even close. So for the main event of UFC, Cannonier versus Vettori, the two locks. 1, this will be going to unanimous decision. And 2, Marvin Vettori will be winning by unanimous decision. And you can take that to the bank. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's been an awesome time here. I have so much fun just talking to the camera, looking at it right here, because I know so many people are going to be watching on YouTube or wherever you may be watching this podcast. I appreciate every last one of you. Of course, like I said in the beginning, if you haven't subscribed, please give me a subscription. It would mean the world. We're trying to get to 100 by the end of the month. I don't think that's impossible. And again, thank you for watching. With that being said, live from the TBloom corporate offices in Providence, Missouri, I'm your host, TBloom, and I will see you next time. Out!